The final event of this chapter has already kicked the storyline into overdrive, and we're racing straight toward the climax of the war with the Spirit Realm. The fractures between worlds keep spreading, and it won't be long before reality itself hits an apocalyptic breaking point. But the big questions remain. How exactly is Cato Thorn tangled up in all of this, and when will the final event actually take place? The situation on the island keeps getting more tense. The season's already halfway through, and that means a face-to-face clash with the Spirit Realm is inevitable. But going up against the creator of all demons, that's not a fight anyone can win alone. This chapter keeps dropping more mysteries with every season. Strange details weaving into a web so tangled, you can't pull it apart on your own. And that's where our detective agency steps in, to investigate and connect the dots, to expose the truth hiding in plain sight. Take the red cube. Sure, most of us have seen it by now, but the real question isn't what it is, it's why. Why red? Rifts glow crimson. The cube itself burns blood red. That can't be random. Color in Fortnite lore always carries weight. Maybe it's a signal of a direct link to the Spirit Realm, where the dark presence stirs. Or maybe it points to someone else. Someone powerful. Someone with their own history of bending reality. Cato Thorn. And here's where the investigation starts heating up. Data miners already spotted something unusual. Files tied to Cato Thorn were quietly updated this season. Small detail? Maybe. But Epic never moves pieces on the board without a reason. And no, I don't think this is some update for Blitz Royale. It feels bigger. It feels deliberate. So let's dig deeper. Why is the cube red? How could that tie back to Cato? And more importantly, how is Thorn himself connected to the Spirit Realm? The evidence is stacking up, and once we lay it all out, the picture might be darker than we imagined. By now, most of you have probably noticed the infamous red cube looming over the Fortnite OG island. But here's where things get strange. What if I told you that Cato Thorn himself has ties not only to the cube, but also to the bugs? This isn't just a wild theory, it's a trail of evidence. One that links last season's chaos to what's unfolding right now. So let's start piecing it together. First, we need to rewind. Back after the Super Showdown, the tentacle of the dark presence was severed, bleeding across the island. The bugs fed on that blood. And that's when the mutation began. That was their origin, their first transformation. But the cube? That's a different kind of anomaly. There's no confirmed explanation. But here's where the investigation takes a sharp turn. One theory suggests the dark presence has been fusing its own energy with the 0-point shard. That fusion created a red rift, and out of that rift, the red butterfly appeared, which in turn manifested the red cube. And that's where the evidence lines up. Bugs, blood, cubes, rifts, different pieces of the same case file. And the deeper we dig, the more we realize none of this is coincidence. So how are they connected? That's the question. And like any good case, the evidence doesn't just sit out in the open. You've got to dig for it. But before we dive into them, don't forget to use my creator code in the item shop. Some of them confirmed by Hope herself. Dark Presence was actively mixing its own energy with the 0-point shard. That fusion is what many believe triggered the appearance of the Red Rift, and with it, those strange crimson butterflies we saw during the blast. But here's the part that catches my attention, the color scheme. That red glow wasn't just cosmetic. It mirrors the energy we've seen tied to the Spirit Realm. And now, fast forward to today, and the red cube is pulsing with that same aura. Coincidence? Not likely. The investigation doesn't stop there. In the opening story quests of this season, when we track the source of the bugs, the portal itself shifts red. The exact same shade. And if you line that up with the design and colors tied to Cato Thorn, what if Thorn's lineage goes deeper than we thought? Some claim he's directly tied to the bloodline G, the old Nom signs swapped out for moon symbols. And if you think that's all, you're missing the bigger picture. Because the deeper we dig, the more this case looks like it's only just beginning. Here's the evidence. Back in Chapter 4, Season 4, after Cato's defeat, Dr. Sloan experimented with the time machine. And one of the wasn't a coincidence. It suggests we were looking at a Cato Thorn who had just begun using his machine to bend Fortnite's timeline. So how does Thorn slide into the main storyline now? Here's the theory. Picture the OG Season 6 event. Instead of us being thrown into the in-between, imagine the rift sending us directly into the spirit realm. And there, waiting in the shadows, is Cato Thorn. Tasked by the dark presence itself, the red cube, the updated files, the moon symbols, the shifting anomalies, and the picture sharpens. Thorn working under the spirit realm isn't just possible, it's starting to feel inevitable. Chapter 6 kicked off when a 0-point shard crashed into reality 780 demons. Thousands of years ago, this place was home to them, but local clans banished the demons to the spirit realm and sealed the gates. Everything stayed quiet until that shard hit and shattered the seal. Suddenly, demonic energy started leaking out again. That's when two big threats showed up, the mysterious Shogun and the possessed Night Rose. The darkness from the spirit realm wasted no time snatching up the fallen shard, because it holds insane power. Trying to stop the nightmare before it spread, the Demon Hunter family, Jade, Kendo, and Dago, teamed up with Jonesy and Hope, who had arrived searching for the shard. Dago, the cocky older brother, decided to fight the Shogun alone, and actually won. Knowing the shard wouldn't be easy to protect, Hope and Midas, who somehow also ended up on Oninoshima, launched a secret vault project. This vault was so drunk on his victory over the Shogun, Daigo fell under the mask's influence, became possessed, and joined the side of darkness. All last season, he drained the island's life force to open a gate for the dark presence itself. Loopers managed to stop him temporarily thanks to the Supernova Hero program, which awakened after the reality pulse. But even though we won that fight, the damage was already done. The dark presence's blood seeped into the ground, awakening a swarm of demonic bugs. And in this fight, our biggest ace is an organization called OXR, led by the mysterious Onyx Winter. If you listen closely to the new in-game dialogues, you'll learn this isn't the first bug invasion the island's faced. OXR has been around for centuries, and I've got a feeling Epic's about to dig up a few more lore holes while they're at it. Still, thanks to OXR, Jones and Hope discovered something huge. The bugs can slip into the spirit realm through special access points, bypassing the main gates entirely. Now the island's rescue team is figuring out how to use that same trick to infiltrate the spirit realm and reclaim the 0-point shard before the darkness can weaponize it. But the dark presence isn't just sitting back. Hope can sense something terrifying brewing inside the spirit realm. It's starting to feel like darkness is planning a massive strike on Oninoshima. Remember, the fracture event rewound us back to a time before the imagined order even existed. That makes me think this is them from the outside. That means the outcome of this cycle isn't set in stone. A perfect example of this logic is Marvel's Loki series. Loki's fate was supposed to be predetermined. He was destined to die at the hands of Thanos. But one of his variants broke free of the cycle, and from that moment on, the future kept shifting depending on his choices. Fortnite's universe could absolutely work the same way. Back in Chapter 1, the story was likely stuck in a loop. Just look at Jonesy's bunker drawings. But the actions of the Seven pushed that cycle onto a brand new path. Without a doubt, this cycle will end, and a new one will begin. The only real question is, how do we get there? That's entirely up to the choices of our main characters. And since we've already mentioned the Miss Rocky friend with a toy inside might play a role again, so if the old events do return, they'll play out completely differently this time. Now I want to talk about the very first member of the Legendary Seven, who we met after the crash of the cosmic meteor. Some of you younglings are probably scratching your heads, wondering how one single character could make or break the next 13 seasons. Saying it out loud almost sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But trust me, it's not. The Visitor was the spark that ignited the entire Fortnite storyline. If the meteor had never existed, the Visitor couldn't have landed on the island, and the ripple effects of his absence would have been massive. Fire under them. And not the cozy kind, because these guys knew how to throw a real chaos party. That's why the IO kept such a close watch on the crash site, to track one of their greatest enemies. But here's the thing, they didn't catch him, at least not in the original reality. But in our new one, who knows? So let's fire up those brain cells and get back to the rockets. Here's the catch. What if, in this new reality, there was no meteor? And no meteor, imagine the island without that flying contraption. Nothing would have happened. the island would have stayed exactly the same. No giant cracks in the sky, no purple lightning striking the ground, no rift, and without the rift, no drift either. This chain of events could go on forever, because that tear in the sky was the first time we saw our world, the entire world, upside down. It's fascinating to think about how the community would have reacted if Fortnite was if that rift hadn't opened, we never would have gotten the cube. And the cube is one of Fortnite's most iconic symbols. Sure, maybe the rift could have opened later for some other reason, but what if instead of a cube it spawned a triangle or a weird trapezoid? Now imagine if Kevin, or his alternate form, had never found it. That one little crash changed everything. Looking at how the events are changing in OG right now, how will its storyline develop this time? What's in store for Save the World? And does it even tie into OG Fortnite anymore? A few years back, you could BR actually influenced the PvE storyline. Before the finale of Chapter 1, there was even a full campaign dedicated to the apocalypse. But after that, the link faded away. And when Epic announced they were ceasing support for Save the World, that was basically the final nail in the coffin. Don't get me wrong, there are still some themed events happening in Save the World. But as far as a shared storyline goes, you can definitely kiss that goodbye, at least for now. I'm not saying Epic won't revisit the idea in the future, but considering how focused they are on the metaverse these days, the chances seem pretty slim. Save the World feels like a Walking Dead mode. Sure, there are new weapons, new heroes, sometimes even features brought over from Battle Royale, but let's jump back into our multiverse travels. I think Sloane's original plan was to permanently get rid of the reality is only connected to the outside world through the 0 point, which allows dimensional travel. But here's the kicker. Our island doesn't have counterparts in other realities, which completely contradicts the whole concept and even ballistic. In short, from that moment on, Fortnite truly became a multiverse. We can even draw parallels to Loki. Remember when the sacred timeline was destroyed in Season 1? It splintered into millions of alternate versions of itself, creating endless possibilities for storytelling. And here's the best part. They don't even need to scrap old characters. Those characters could easily exist in other dimensions, split into countless worlds, perfectly explains the current storyline. This opens the door to endless twists. And more importantly, the narrative is no longer chained to the 0 point. We're finally free from the tired island destruction trope. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. So what does it all mean for us loopers? It means the rules have changed. The multiverse is wide open. The story isn't stuck in a loop anymore, and literally anything can happen next. And trust me, the ride from here is only going to get wilder.